Today we've got kind of a disgusting, freaked up story about someone who ate the Four Horsemen Burger Challenge from Man vs. Food. We'll get into that story in just a bit. But first, today I freaked up and ruined a surprise for my wife. Today I freaked up by trying to be thoughtful. So my wife's birthday is tomorrow, May 1st. She was out of town on a business trip, so I thought I'd be nice and, as an extra birthday gift, clean up our standing shower. It's old and I haven't really redone the caulk and grout work, so I figured it'd be a nice, quick, thoughtful gift. So this morning, while taking the glass door off to clean it, reapply the bottom water thing, it decided to explode into thousands of tiny glass bombs. Fortunately, I wasn't cut, but I was left with a huge mess. And now our shower has no door. Just initial estimates for a replacement door are around $1,000. Jesus freaking Christ. So thank you to whoever thought a glass bomb was a good idea to put where people are taking showers. The next time I even think about doing some work around the house, I'll remember this day. The intent was there, your heart was certainly in the right place, your brain unfortunately doesn't sound like it was. So yeah, wasn't the greatest idea to remove the door, especially when you don't have any experience like working with caulk and stuff like that. So it's okay, $1,000 could have been a lot worse, and at least you're not injured. Also, hey everybody, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Today I Freaked Up videos, it would be so nice and awesome if you left a like and commented down below if you're listening to our podcast. Now then, our next story is, Today I Freaked Up by defining a word for my son. Once a week, usually Friday nights, but we had to move it to tonight this week, my husband and I have a nice date night. Sometimes we go out and either have one of our sets of parents or a babysitter watch them. Sometimes we just have a very romantic dinner at home after the kids go to bed. Tonight, my husband and I have a date night of the latter variety planned. My husband wanted to surprise me with what dinner would be tonight, so he got the groceries by himself. While he was out today shopping for all the elements of our dinner, I was with the kids at home and doing the laundry. Our kids were all in the living room, with the younger two playing and our oldest, who's 10, watching a cooking show while he was weaving a potholder. At one point, the presenter of the show mentioned that oysters, which were in the recipe, were aphrodisiacs. My son immediately asked me what that meant, and I told him it's a food that's supposed to make you want to have hooked up. He said gross, then carried on watching. When my husband came home with the groceries, he called the kids over to help him put them away. After a minute of putting things away, our oldest son yelled, "Ew!" My husband then laughed and asked what was wrong, and our son said, "I know what oysters are for, Dad," in the most disappointed tone I've ever heard him use to speak. He's been shooting both of us the most withering looks you can imagine from a 10-year-old all afternoon. I think he's not enjoying the day too much. Yeah, there's probably a smoother, more PG way to answer that question. 10-year-olds don't need to know about that stuff. Not yet. Come on. Verserterix replied, "Don't remember how old I was, but I similarly asked what a brothel was because on the Simpsons episode where Sideshow Bob was trying to unalive Bart on a boat, the boat ran aground and Chief Wiggum and some other cops were in robes and said something like, 'Good thing you guys crashed next to this brothel.' I didn't get the joke, so I asked. Well, my mom just told me it's where prostitutes lived, and I pretended to act oblivious, but unwilling to ask what that was because I had heard of prostitutes before and what they did. My mom is pretty conservative, so I'm surprised she answered." Our next story is, Today I Freaked Up by not reading the label on a bag of candy. I work in healthcare and will often get drug reps that bring in food to us. A couple weeks back, a rep brought a bunch of fruit snacks from Irwan. Among the stash were these vitamin C pops from a brand called Yum Earth. I'd grab some here and there, mainly to wake myself up during my shifts as I deal with chronic fatigue. No biggie. 2 days ago, I was shopping at my local TJ Maxx, and in the checkout aisle, I found these pops again. I really enjoyed them the first time, so I figured I'd try them again. Now's a good time to mention I have memory issues and will sometimes eat an entire bag of snacks without realizing. I completely forgot the vitamin C written in bold just beneath the brand logo. This morning, I woke up about 20 minutes before my alarm, which is already annoying as is. Pair that with some horrific symptoms of vitamin C toxicity, and you've got me ticked off beyond belief. I thought this was food poisoning or something, but my family doesn't keep a lot of food in the house, so it definitely wasn't that. Then I remembered that I ate a crap ton of those vitamin C pops. I'm an EMT, and they never taught me about this in my school, but vitamin C can give you the runs real bad. Looking at the package just now, one pop has about 125 milligrams of vitamin C. That's 140% of the daily amount needed. Not paying attention to my portions, I ended up taking 30 of these bad boys over the past 2 days. Quick multiplication, and that's almost 4,000 milligrams, which is 50 times the daily recommended dose. Thankfully, it's water soluble, so I'll be chugging as much as I can to get it out of my system. You learn something new every day. I didn't wake up this morning thinking that I would be learning that excessive amounts of vitamin C gives you the runs. The more you know. Queen to Caffeine replied, I've done that before with vitamin C cough drops that I didn't realize were just vitamin C drops instead of cough drops. Anyway, I had some regrets and now I'm very careful about vitamin C drops and sugar-free cough drops. And OP replied to this, I don't usually get sick that often, but it's good to keep in mind. Didn't realize they even added vitamin C to cough drops. Our next story is, today I freaked up. I might get fired. I'm in a corporate meeting and a company-wide question was asked. My idiot responded with, yo mama. It just happened and I swear I didn't mean to freaking say it. They were asking about projected percentages and our solutions to overcome negative variance that we're currently facing. When it came to me, I didn't realize that my mic was on before that, so I just said yo mama as a kicker before I would unmute and share a real answer. When I heard my response echo in the background, I freaking froze. I was thinking, crap, freak, I'm fired. I'm so freaking fired. Meanwhile, my manager is just laughing her butt off at me, almost rolling because she's never in her 25 years heard anyone respond that way. The silence, the freaking silence. I might be screwed, guys. Well, I was going to say that we're going to need a follow-up or resolution to what happened afterwards to determine just how funny the story is, and it looks like OP provided that, so let's jump into it. OP says, I'm gonna be honest, it was the first time I've made that kind of mistake, but tensions are at an all-time high in the company. People are getting thrown back into training for missing one line or being too friendly. I mean, they pinged me after I got a 100% success rate from a mystery shop report because I didn't force a sale, regardless of objections. Sent me straight back to training. They got me for things like that. That's why I worry about getting fired. Our next story is, today I freaked up by using my thong as a hair tie. So this was actually the other day, but I was getting ready to have a shower, as you do, but I wasn't gonna wash my hair because I washed it the day prior. I didn't have a hair tie and couldn't find one, so I, used a thong. A clean one from my room to tie up my hair, and by the time I got out of the shower, I forgot about it and just decided to keep my hair up for the day. So, bad part is, me and my friend were out shopping, and it got really windy, and she asked me for a hair tie, and I didn't have a spare, but said she could have mine, so I took it out of my hair and put it in her hand. She says, "What the freak is that?" And we just stare at each other. Well, I remember that I tied up my hair with a thong. I manically explained why I had tied my hair with a thong, and she just laughed at me and told all our friends what I did. She's not letting me live it down. Incredible visuals this provides. If it's any consolation, I'm just speaking on behalf of the guys here. Most people probably wouldn't notice without getting right up on you and into your personal business, but this is still a pretty funny story. Very Bad Buddha replied, I used my wife's clean one as a joke, forgot about it. She recognized it at dinner with her friends and called me out. Nurses are the worst at letting things go. 5 years later, I'm still known as Thong Boy. Our next story is, today I freaked up by looking at a girl's butt by accident because I was zoned out. Before I start, I have bad vision. It used to be on my right eye, but progressed to the point where if I'm not actively paying attention, my vision gets extremely blurry. I plan on scheduling another eye appointment. Here's the thing. When I'm listening to something I enjoy while wearing earbuds, I take off my now scratched glasses and tune out the world. Today, I was listening to a video about film editing and was extremely invested. Then, I saw a speck fly past very fast and started staring hard in path I last saw it take. Then, when I focused, I saw a girl whispering to her friend and the other girl covering her butt while both staring at me. I immediately realized how weird that looked, and when I went to sit down, I didn't apologize because I thought I saw something wasn't a good excuse. She wasn't even my type, but that's besides the point. I put on my glasses and started eating by myself. I thought, was I seriously looking at her butt, or did I actually see something? I was trying to ignore it, but they kept staring at me. Then a wasp came next to me. That was the speck. There's only 3 things my 6'2", 250 pounds butt is afraid of: heights, needles, and by extension, wasps. This is because they got needle butts. I only ever got stung once at 3 a.m. though. I tried to unalive it twice with my glasses case, but this freaking David Blaine wasp kept disappearing and reappearing on my stuff. He legitimately won't leave me alone. I played the world's most dangerous red light, green light to leave. The girls were still watching, mind you. Then I escaped. When I looked back, they were gone. I told everything to the guys, and one told me, "Bro, just explain it to her." And I said, "Nah, that's creepy going back." But eventually I caved when lunch ended. When I found them, I said, "Hey, you were sitting at that table, right?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "Yo, I'm so sorry. I promise I wasn't staring at you. I thought a wasp flew by, and I was right. It kept bothering me." They laughed it off and said they saw me playing red light, green light with the wasp, then walked off. Freak wasps. I will say it's definitely better that you tied this one up with a bow and went and explained what was going on, what your situation was to the girls. Otherwise, yeah, they probably would have thought that you're even weirder than you appeared initially. So yeah, way to clean that one up. And yeah, I agree, wasps are the worst. Teflon Don Knotts replied, I've also been embarrassed by an I didn't have my glasses on situation. During grad school, I decided to take advantage of a nice after and do some reading in a park near my apartment. I picked a nice spot, set up my chair, switched out my RX glasses for non-RX sunglasses, put in my earbuds, and got to work. I put my regular glasses back on when it was time to leave and discovered that about 50 yards in front of me, a girls' softball team was having practice. I'd just been sitting all alone in the middle of a field and seemingly watching a bunch of high school girls exercise. I never went back to that park. Our next story is, today I freaked out by inviting my allergic to water neighbor into a freshly cleaned pool. Years ago, when I was around 16, a bunch of us neighborhood kids would hang out at a house across the street that had a pool. We were all around the same age. I'm 27 now, and most of them are between 22 and 28. We basically grew up together. That house's pool was like a community treasure, but the deal was, if you wanted to swim, you had to help clean it. So one hot day, we all pitched in, scrubbing, rinsing, filling it up until it was crystal clear and ready for a proper pool day. Except one guy didn't help. Our neighbor who, since childhood, had a complicated relationship with hygiene. Let's just say water was his natural enemy. The dude absolutely hated bathing. Every time we teased him about it, he'd swear he did shower, but his greasy hair and perpetual teenage funk always said otherwise. Anyway, we're all in the pool, having the time of our lives when he shows up. We start cheering him on, begging him to join us, and surprisingly, he does. He strips down, steps in, and as soon as his body hits the water, something changes. I'm not even exaggerating. It was like his body released a protective coating. Grease started seeping out of his hair, shoulders, everywhere. But it wasn't just oily. It made the water around him look murky, almost like weirdly cloudy soup. You could see it spreading out around him. The entire group screamed and scrambled out of the pool like we were being attacked by a sea monster made of fryer grease. It was total chaos. To this day, that incident is one of our top inside jokes. He's still our friend, we love him a lot, and we remind him constantly about the time he single-handedly contaminated an entire pool with nothing but his natural aura. We even say the water didn't just turn greasy, it got emotionally damaged. So that's disgusting, not just the not showering, but how are you that filthy to literally have stuff being washed off of you in a big murky cloud as you step into a swimming pool? Yuck. Troutman Do commented, "My wife served in the Navy with someone who was convinced they were allergic to water. First, she willingly joined the branch of the armed forces dedicated to, checks notes, water. She couldn't drink a glass of water because she was convinced she'd have an allergic reaction. So she drank other things like Gatorade, iced tea, and soda. You know, stuff made of water. Unless you're drinking olive oil or some other sort of cooking oil, which would have its own set of terrible consequences, you're drinking something where the main component is water. They tried reasoning with her, but she just wouldn't accept that she wasn't allergic to water." FLMA Psycho replied, "I would probably be the jerk that took one of those tiny water pistols and squirted her a couple times, hopefully playing it off like I just missed my intended target, then pointing out that her skin didn't react." Our next story is, today I freaked up allowing the new girl to cut my hair. Just another freak up out of multiple freaks up I've experienced recently. When? Yesterday. Where? Hair salon. Level of freak up? Mid. How I freaked up? I needed a new haircut, so I went to the hair salon I always go to and requested my usual hairstyle, which was a mid-fade. However, what made yesterday's trip to the hair salon different from all the other trips was the new girl who recently started working there. It was my first time seeing her, and let's just say I was unable to stop looking at her. She was gorgeous. As soon as she caught me looking in her direction, she rotated her empty chair towards me and invited me to have a seat. At that moment, I locked eyes with the person who normally cuts my hair, but he was busy with another customer at the time. So I used my non-existent powers of telepathy to low-key tell him that I was gonna go with the new girl. Cut to new girl cutting my hair and casually telling me about random crap she's seen on TikTok. She was so cute, I automatically downplayed a couple of red flags that popped in mid-haircut. Red as in the color of my blood. I was literally bleeding at some point. 2 points, actually. New girl cut both my ears with the razor-sharp hair clipper she was using. She was very apologetic and embarrassed while I was painfully attempting to continue flirting by unsuccessfully trying to get her to give me her number so that I could, keep her informed in case I got an ear infection or some crap. Thing is, I didn't get an ear infection. I got a really bad haircut. New girl panicked after seeing me bleed or whatever and left me with what looked like an uneven mohawk instead of a mid-fade. I could see her becoming more and more stressed out while trying to fix the unfixable, so I thought the following words might bring her some comfort. You know what? Don't worry about it. I can always shave it all off at home. New girl broke down in tears when I said that, which prompted the person who normally cuts my hair to abandon his customer to console new girl. I ended up leaving the hair salon with a mohawk that was off-center and feeling like the bad guy. I shaved my head as soon as I got home, so now I look like a skinhead. Well, couple things here. One, your hair's gonna grow back, no harm, no foul there, but B, that was definitely not the apropos comment to make to the girl when she's already feeling down about cutting you, messing up your haircut, and then you just totally bury it by saying, you know what, I'm just gonna go get rid of all of it. Smooth game, brother, smooth game. Your mother replied, I'm a hairstylist, and I made the mistake of letting my biggest hater and coworker cut my hair about 5 years ago. He gave me a freaking mullet. I'm a female that had long blonde hair. I was livid. I woke up in rehab a couple days later and I figured it out. I came back to work a month later and he's all like, how'd you like your mullet? I knew he did it on purpose. I'm still recovering. Sorry, that was a little unhinged rant. Our next story is, today I freaked out by accidentally stealing my brother's eyebrows. Forever. This happened years ago, but the guilt is still fresh, unlike his eyebrows. When my brother was about 3 years old, we were playing around like siblings do. For some reason, my bright idea of fun that day was to wrap him head to toe in tape. I think the game was something like I'm the kidnapper and he's the hostage. Totally normal childhood stuff. Eventually, I started peeling the tape off, and that's when I realized I had made a grave mistake. As I pulled, I also removed both of his tiny baby eyebrows, clean off, like waxing but with trauma. He cried, I panicked, and my parents were not impressed with my creativity. Now we're adults, and he still says his eyebrows never fully grew back. They're patchy and uneven, and yes, he still brings it up every now and then. Sometimes he'll just look at me and say, this is your fault, and he's not even joking. Ooh, yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one to come back from. Any kind of permanent alteration to someone's appearance, even though it happened in childhood, I totally understand why little bro might be holding a grudge. That's terrible. Our next story is, today I freaked out by eating the 4 Horsemen Burger Challenge from Man vs. Food. This is a bit of a long read, but just bear with me. This didn't happen today, but it happened during my college days. Enjoy my misery. Back around 08 to 09, I enjoyed watching Man vs. Food. One of the challenges that came up was eating the 4 Horsemen Burger Challenge from Chunky's Burgers in San Antonio, Texas. At the time, it was considered the spiciest burger in the world. It was a burger patty topped with 1 jalapeno, 1 serrano pepper, 1 habanero extract, and multiple ghost peppers. The peppers weren't just raw, by the way, they grilled them. Which, for those of you who aren't into spicy foods, grilling peppers in oil makes them a ton spicier. The challenge is you eat the burger in under 30 minutes and you get it for free, plus a picture on the Wall of Fame. The kicker? After you eat the burger, you can't eat or drink anything for 5 minutes after. That's where the true challenge begins, but I was about to find out the hard way. I, of course, being the real genius that I am, decided to make the 4-hour trip with a friend to try this challenge. He wasn't trying it, but wanted to watch me attempt it. I was a bit prepared and brought a small bottle of Pepto-Bismol for after the challenge, as I thought it would come in handy. I reminded my friend I wanted him to record me doing the challenge with my phone so I could have proof of me doing the challenge. He recorded it all, thank goodness. We get there around 6 p.m., and I tell the cashier I'm there for the 4 Horsemen challenge. She smiles and gets all giddy. She hands me some waivers that need to be signed. I start to get nervous now because I've never had to do something like that. The waivers were basically saying the rules of the challenge and that they're not liable or responsible for anything that happens to me during or after I'm done with the challenge. Great, I thought. I start talking to one of the guys at the ordering counter, and I was telling him that I was stoked to try the challenge because I love very spicy food and I think I might be able to handle it. The guy's telling me that it's super spicy and not many folks have been able to finish the challenge. He's telling me that eating the burger is tough, but the real killer is going 5 minutes after without any drinks or food. You can drink and eat all you want while eating the burger, but once the timer starts after you're done eating it, you can't have anything, is what he tells me. I'm standing there looking a bit worried. I laugh it off a bit, and I tell the guy I think I can handle it. Besides, Adam on MVF had it easy. The cook only put like 3 little ghost peppers and very little of the other chilies and the sauce. He was sweating like crazy. I'm sure I can handle that since the cook went easy on him. The dude looked at me and goes, "Oh, really?" and had a crap-eating grin on his face. I laugh it off, not thinking much of it. Then, as he's going back to the kitchen, he looks me directly in the eye and says, "I was the cook that made Adam's burger. I'm gonna make it extra special for you." And he has that crap-eating grin on his face again. My friend starts laughing hysterically, and more so when he realizes I'm white as a ghost in the face. Mind you, I'm Hispanic AF and brown as can be, so when my friend saw me that white in the face, he lost his crap laughing. Yep, I knew I had royally freaked up. I wanted to beat 2 challenges while doing this. I wanted to obviously beat the challenge itself, but I also wanted to be the fastest to do it. The burger comes out and everyone is watching. The cashier girl has her timer out and everything. I looked at this burger and I was terrified. The MFer loaded the burger with a ton of peppers, and what I could count were about 8 to 10 big butt ghost peppers. The dude was not kidding about making it special, alright. Freak me. This is a massive burger too, by the way. It's not some small itty bitty burger. This patty must have been about a pound of meat, with big buns too. They do a countdown and I start blazing through the burger. I swear on my grandpa's grave that the first 3 bites tasted so dang delicious, but soon after that, I start feeling the heat creeping in. And oh my god, it was the worst heat and spice I had felt ever. I said freak it, and I powered through. I was barely even chewing the burger and fries. I was just taking bites and swallowing them whole at this point. I had to stop to take a drink of my soda. The instant relief I felt was bliss. I took several huge gulps. After I stopped drinking, the heat just came back with a vengeance. It was like Satan himself was deep-throating the crap out of my mouth and esophagus. It was that dang bad, no joke. I take my last bite and eat it, and they stop the timer. They start another timer for the 5-minute wait. Oh my freaking god! It was the worst pain and misery I had ever felt in my life, ever. My entire body was shaking. My mouth, lips, throat, and stomach were all burning with the intensity of a billion suns. I was sweating profusely. I was cussing out Adam for being that much of a bench since his challenge was a million times easier than mine. At that point, I wanted to slap him if he were there. How dare he cry when he only had to eat 3 ghost peppers? And they were a fraction of the size of the ones I had to eat, and I ate about 10 of them. Freak Adam, I kept thinking. The timer finally runs out, but it felt like an eternity. They had glasses of ice-cold milk and ice water for me after. Drinking that ice-cold milk felt like drinking the sweet, sweet nectar from the gods for a split second. Then, the raging heat kept returning. It seemed that every time I took a sip, the heat came back even stronger than before. It felt surreal, and it was terrible. The cashier girl and the rest of the restaurant are still going nuts. I phased all of it out. That was until about 30 minutes after the challenge. I finally started feeling better, but I was still in pain. But it was manageable now. Many people were congratulating me and patting my shoulder as they left. I thanked each of them for it, even though I was freaking miserable and still very much suffering. The cashier girl comes up to me super excited and is praising me and high-fiving me. She tells me that I finished the burger in 1 minute 47 seconds. Cool, I'm thinking, and I reply, wait, what was the record for fastest eaten? And she tells me it was 1 minute 35 seconds. Freak, I missed it by about 10 seconds. She was still super excited because she had never seen someone eat that fast. She wasn't working on the day the record was made, so I was a close second, and she was good with that. She took my picture and placed it right next to Adam's on the Wall of Fame. She said I deserved it. I was quite proud of that. Me and my buddy decide to leave, and everyone there who's still around during my challenge all congratulated me one last time and clapped for me. We got in the car, and remember that small bottle of Pepto-Bismol? Yeah, that freaker lasted me all but 2 seconds. I chugged it like my life depended on it. We leave and go to a gas station just down the road to gas up and head back home. We're there about 10 minutes gassing up, talking, etc. My stomach is rumbling bad, and I could feel the heat emanating from inside my stomach. It's not good. I'm about to hurl, and I knew it. I do so right there at the pump. There is a huge puddle of pink and a ton of chunks of the burger I had eaten about 45 minutes prior. My throat is on fire again, but worse than before. It felt like I couldn't breathe with how intense it was. My buddy runs inside and asks the gas station attendant to call an ambulance. They do and arrive 5 minutes later. I hop on and they check me. I tell them what transpired the last hour. The guys are having a blast hearing my story and telling me I'm good. They tell me go and tell me not to worry about it, but that I'm gonna have a rough few days when I go to the restroom. They weren't freaking kidding. A few hours down the road, I gotta stop and take a whiz, so we do. I'm at the urinal, and my buddy gets in a stall a few feet from me to do his business. I started letting it flow, and I just started screaming, "What the freak? Dude, my Richard is on fire!" I can't stop peeing, but the entire time, it felt like Satan was shoving a blazing hot needle down my urethra. Holy crap! I'm telling my buddy all this, and he's taking a crap and laughing hysterically at my suffering. Freak me, dude. That pain was terrible. I had never felt anything like that before. I've eaten a ton of spicy food, albeit never to this extreme, but still some very spicy stuff that even some avid spicy foodies would agree is nuts. But it still didn't even come close to the hellish heat that are ghost peppers. We get back to the car, and I tell my buddy that I'm suffering and my stomach cramps are unbearable. I can't drive anymore. He hops on the driver's side and we drive home. I tell him to be prepared to take me to the hospital as a last resort, but for now to just get us back home. There were 3 hours left on the drive, and those 3 hours were absolute heck. I could feel every little bump and turn on the road. Everything made the stomach pain more intense. My buddy understood, so he wasn't mad at my benching or backseat driving. I was going nuts and didn't know what else to do. I think somewhere along the road, close to midnight, I dozed off, likely passing out for a brief moment from the pain. I snapped out of it and realized we were home. Awesome. He goes inside to his place and I drive off to my place. I was still reeling from the pain. I get home and pass the F out. I wake up in the morning and I have a terrible urge to do my business. I do, and again my Richard is on fire like at the gas station. Then I get a nasty stomach rumble and I hurry to sit and let it all out. Oh boy, I would end up regretting that crap, pun intended. Satan once again made his presence known in the form of the nastiest, hottest, heat-wise, you nasty freaks, and most painful crap I've ever taken in my life. I don't know what it's like to give birth, but I'd like to think that I found out that morning. It was the most intense and painful crap I had ever taken. Mind you, again, that I've experienced painful craps due to eating spicy foods, but nothing could have ever prepared me for that monstrosity on that morning. Satan was mocking me at that point. I just knew it. I proceeded to pee and crap liquid magma for the next 3 days, the most intense and frequent being that first day. I don't know what exactly happened to my insides that day, but I've never been the same since. Never had I eaten spicy food to the point that I also ticked fire until that day. And ever since that day, any time I eat anything remotely spicy, I end up peeing fire as well. It sucks, but I may have conquered the 4 Horsemen burger in battle, but the 4 Horsemen burger won the freaking war. Well, this certainly made for an entertaining story, but as they say, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You know, you voluntarily ate this burger, so it's kind of hard for me to feel bad, but thank you for sharing your experience, and I do hope that you got better. Our next story is, today I freaked up by getting too high with my adult kid and getting the paramedics called on me. I have 2 grown, independent daughters, and I'm so dang proud of them. I struggle to communicate just how proud of them I am, and it's getting harder since they're out living their lives. Yesterday, my daughter came home from work and we were chatting. She asked if I wanted to split a joint with her, and it sounded so fun. I've taken edibles every now and then, but I haven't smoked in a couple years. But this wasn't my first weed rodeo by any stretch. We went outside and had the best conversation. I told her how happy I was to see her being herself, and how she's such a gift to the world, and how proud I am to be her dad. I cried a bit, we hugged. It was the conversation I've wanted to have with her forever. When we went inside, I started to feel a bit wobbly, so I sat down in a big chair. I lost consciousness. Important note, I pass out a lot. When my nervous system gets overwhelmed, I will just shut down. When I came to, my wife told me that I hadn't been breathing. I thought to myself, I'm dying, which means I won't need to apologize tomorrow for this terrible weed mistake. She left, and my other daughter stayed with me. She held my head, and I felt so grateful she was there with me. I also told her how proud I was to be her dad, and how amazing she's doing. She's a teacher, and she's a ray of light for all those little ones. My kids are freaking amazing. I started getting fuzzy again, and I fully expected to fade away and never come back, and I was at peace with that. When I woke up again, there were like 7 to 8 first responders standing above me in my bedroom, asking me a series of questions. I tried to explain to them that this is a thing that's happened to me before, but my cognitive faculties just weren't there. Eventually, I was able to stand up, walk back and forth steadily, and sign a waiver relieving them of any culpability should I actually die. Before they left, the cop asked me where I got my weed. I live in a legal state, but I was not about to bring my daughter into this. I didn't answer the question, pretended to disassociate, laid on my bed, and closed my eyes. They left after that. My wife stayed up with me a bit longer, until she was sure I was okay. She also stayed up with my kids. When she came back into bed 2 hours later, she told me I said, unprompted, "Freaking cops, I ain't no narc." You know, as weird as this story is, it's also weirdly kind of wholesome in a way. I don't know. I mean, OP clearly loves his children, and yeah, great moment that they shared, even though it took a turn there. Blends with Trees replied, "I always wanted to have a conversation like that with my dad. He passed away when I was 16. He frequently told me how much he loved me and was proud of me, but my adult self would unalive to hear that from him now. I don't think this is a freak up. I think it's just a sweet, funny story you'll never forget." Our next story is, "Today I freaked up by attempting to steal a bag of fries that cost $1.50 because I'm super broke. Turns out I'm the one that got robbed. Attempted to steal a bag of fries because I need something to keep me fed. Used a calculator and all to make sure my groceries came to around 10, but got hit with $11.60. Told the guy I'd go put it back, but said, ugh, freak it. Security caught up to me and I gave the fries back. Went home and decided to read the receipt, and lo and behold, a bag of fries paid for. I probably got double charged at the counter. I've also issues that make me exploitable, and this was my first attempt at being not good for my own benefit. It's probably my last. I've lost 2 days worth of sleep over this. I'm tired. I have no potatoes. You know, sometimes the universe has its own ways of correcting itself, and I think that this is actually a perfect example. That's sad that you lost your potatoes, though. I'm an action burb replied, "Go back to the store, speak with customer service. Bring your receipt and keep it simple. I told the cashier I would put the 1 bag of fries back, but they double charged me, so I ended up paying for it anyway. Could you please refund me for that?" Done. Don't over-explain. You're entitled to keep your money for something you didn't get. Good luck. Our next story is, "Today I freaked up by asking my boyfriend for flowers." Okay, technically this happened yesterday, but still. My boyfriend, V, and I just moved in together into a house my uncle owns. He lives 2 doors down and is excited we're excited about having a yard, and I'm attacking the very grown-over flower beds. I've been over a few times because he's loading me up with garden tools rather than having me buy my own. The other day, we were in his garage and I noticed a drop leaf table that had belonged to my grandpa, and I asked Uncle if I could buy it from him. He just gave it to me. I spent several hours scraping tobacco tar off the table and cleaning it up, and I thought it would look really nice with flowers. I knew V had been off work about half an hour since he wasn't home. I thought maybe he went to the store, so I called him to ask if he'd pick up some flowers. He'd just left the store, and I just playfully said, did you happen to get me flowers? Now, there was a moment of silence. I thought that moment of silence was a crap, that would have been a good idea silence, but instead he goes, how the freak did you know? He'd already told me he was going to the store to buy cat food. I forgot this. So he thought he was being all sneaky to surprise me with flowers, and he immediately said he wanted to fight me. Playful. Edit, just to be clear, he was not genuinely upset with me, more spooked that I somehow knew he'd just bought me flowers, and all pouting was in good fun. He's so thoughtful and loving, and I appreciate him so much. We've both been laughing about it. Sweet story, wholesome, feels good, you guys clearly love each other, nothing else really to add, it's just a good story. Morticial Fatums commented, I did this to my partner when it was my birthday last year. He had made reservations for dinner at our favorite restaurant, and I was fully unaware of this. We stopped to see some friends, and I accidentally delayed our reservations, talking about how we usually go to said restaurant. He didn't know I was talking about our usual plans. He was calling to move the reservation and wasn't close to hear me. When we left, our friend Mike said, have a good dinner, as a joke. Partner went off in the car the entire drive to the restaurant about how he knew I knew and he can't surprise me for crap. I absolutely was not aware at all of the surprise until that moment. I patiently waited out his rant to ask him very innocently, so we're not going to the arcade? He realized he spoiled the surprise. It was so funny and we laughed about it a lot. Our next story is, today I freaked out by calling myself a puppy during a job interview. This is still really recent, and technically I haven't gotten the rejection email yet, but I'm still embarrassed. I've been currently in the running for a job that's within my skill set, like almost a perfect fit for me. It's for an industry I'm very familiar with, and even is in the right location for me commute-wise. I did the first interview with the CFO, and he loved me. He said I had a great personality and that I would be a perfect fit for the team skill-wise, but wanted me to meet with my future supervisors to make sure I had the right synergy for the team. Here's where I freaked up. The second interview was scheduled for the same day I was supposed to go to my parents to dog sit, so I was super excited to see my precious little girls. Anyway, I get to the second interview and they're asking me the generic questions you'd expect from a job interview. Anyway, they throw a curveball. They ask me what are 5 words to describe me. I list off 4 that I think fit me well, but then I blanked on the 5th one, in which I then blurt out, puppy. The interview ends on the scheduled time, but I wasn't given a follow-up date, only that they'll talk to the CFO about the interview. I feel like I bombed it now. I think you'll be okay, OP, and if anything, you've just shown that you're human and not a robot, so sometimes, people need that affirmation. But you did okay. Beezy Buzzard commented, I do a lot of interviews. Most people don't realize how far above the other candidates they are. More than likely, they decided to hire or not hire you before you entered the room, and you would have needed to royally freak up to get them to change their mind. Honestly, puppy wouldn't have even registered in my mind as a bad answer to that question. I would have thought it was cute and moved on. If you don't get this job, it's not because of this. Our next story is, today I freaked out by accidentally telling my landlord I broke before even fully moving in. I'm moving into a new apartment next week. After months of saving through my regular job and some extra income on the side, I finally managed to get a place that I'm excited about. I've been trying to be really careful and responsible because the rental market here is brutal and I don't want any problems. Anyway, while dropping off a few things today, I decided to test the shower. I adjusted the shower head a bit to check the water pressure, but it came loose in my hand. In the process of trying to screw it back properly, it slipped out of my hands, fell straight onto the ceramic floor, and cracked hard. Now the shower head leaks badly and basically doesn't work at all. Total mess. I panicked because technically the move-in isn't even finalized yet, and I really didn't want to start by admitting I already broke something. My plan was to quietly text the handyman who works in the building and see if he could fix it before anyone noticed. But because I had been texting my landlord yesterday about confirming rent, his chat was right at the top. In my rush, I clicked the wrong conversation and sent, "Hey, I broke the shower head trying to fix it myself. Can you help?" As soon as I hit send, I realized the mistake. I tried sending a follow-up message to downplay it, but the landlord already replied with, "We'll have to assess the damages before you move in." Now I'm worried they might back out of the lease or slap me with a plumbing bill before I even officially move in, all because I didn't double-check the chat before sending one panicked text. Look, I think we've all been there, whether it's a text or an email or something that inadvertently gets sent to someone else. You know, it is what it is. You're either going to have to pay a fine or not, but either way, keeping this secret and trying to do it under the table probably wasn't the best way to handle it anyway, so yeah, is what it is. Maybe Beth, that's just fine, replied, "Next time, just say the shower head fell off by itself and cracked the tile, or that you found it on the broken tile. There's no need to say you dropped it, because you don't know how they'd react. Some will use this as a way for you to pay for it, even though it wasn't your fault." PM Me Fancy Beer replied, "Indeed, landlords will often try to pin stuff that isn't your fault on you. Wear and tear, previous tenant damage, screwed up DIY by the landlord that's causing issues 2 years later. Never admit fault if the situation is ambiguous or can't be proven who was at fault. We were in a similar situation when we moved into a place. Went to take a bath and the tap fell off. It had rusted off and someone hid the damage with sticky tape and some super glue. Landlord and real estate agent tried to blame us because taps don't just snap. Exactly, and we certainly didn't manage to rust it through 10 hours into our lease." Our next story is, "Today I freaked up by not reading a recipe closely enough. So I decided to try out a new recipe from NYT Cooking, as I usually do since their recipes are easy enough to follow and are flexible enough to where I can add or sub stuff in if needed. Well, I usually am confident enough in the kitchen to follow a recipe with it in front of me without looking too closely. I just keep the recipe in front of me to make sure I'm cooking in the right order. Well, today I wanted to try out this Chipotle honey chicken tacos that's all made in an Instant Pot, since it looked like I can just throw everything into the Instant Pot and it's done. Well, here's where I high-key freaked up. So in the ingredients list, it listed canned Chipotles in adobo. So when I went out to get groceries to make the recipe, I got 2 cans of Chipotle in adobo. The thing is, it said 1 to 4 canned Chipotles in adobo, finely chopped, plus 2 tablespoons adobo sauce. My brain went, oh, okay, put both cans into the pot. So I dumped 2 full cans of chilies plus the sauce that they were in with 2 pounds of chicken, when the recipe was made for 1.5 pounds of chicken. The thing was that I didn't realize how spicy it was until the second taco I ate. Once the second taco hit my tongue, everything went into flames. I love spicy food, but this was just way too spicy. But did I finish all 4 tacos? Yes. Will I be eating the rest of the chicken over the next week? Yes. Did I immediately try to make it less spicy by adding sugar and acid into it? Yes. Will it still be spicy? Hopefully not. If anyone wants to actually try the recipe, because it was delicious, my freak up just made it way spicier than intended. It's from NYT Cooking and it's called Pressure Cooker Chipotle Honey Chicken Tacos. Kinda new to posting on Reddit, so I don't know if links are okay or not. This does sound amazing, just not in the heat capacity that OP happened to push those tacos in the direction of. But yeah, definitely worth a look, and you know, you can't let good meat like that go to waste, so I understand eating it anyway. Kehehecho commented, "I love Jamaican beans and rice as a side with jerk chicken. Didn't have instructions, just a recipe with quantities of rice, beans, and Scotch bonnet pepper. I diced 3 peppers and added that to the rice and beans in a rice cooker. How hard could this be? Regret. Throat-searing regret. That's how hard it could be. Only then did I ask my Jamaican colleagues. They couldn't believe it. Apparently, you only need to poke a few holes in 1 single pepper, put it in the pot while it cooks, and remove it later. I made myself eat it all and regretted every bite." Our next story is, "Today, I freaked up by stealing kills from my sister-in-law, resulting on ending the relationship with her and my brother." So I've talked about this a year ago on AITA. Truth is, when I posted that, a year had already passed by and it's somehow gotten worse. For a bit of context, I, male, 22 years old, and my brother, male, 24 years old, weren't always the closest or nicest brothers to each other. We used to fight all the time and get on each other's nerves, but after our parents' divorce, we eventually matured and got really close. We used to use the excuse of drinking coffee together to talk about our day. Every night, we both enjoyed and supported each other on everything. We grew even closer when our father died. We started living together in our own and had to figure out how to live and maintain a house too big for just the both of us, taking care of whatever Dad left unfinished, selling the car none of us knew how to drive, arrange new payments and manage the money which relatives sent each month so we could continue studying. It was us against everything, but we were together and we managed. I even came out to him first as a trans man, and he defended me from everyone who dared making me feel uncomfortable. You get the idea. We were dirt and nail, pretty much. By the time our father passed away, my brother was dating this girl. Let's call her Lily, female, 25 years old. And I absolutely adored her. She was there to support us while we were running around looking for medicine for our dad, and she was there to support my brother during his grieving. After a while, seeing her in the house was the new normal. She lived with us and helped us around too. The coffee nights grew from 2 to 3. We shared our deepest traumas and whatnot. I was sure she was a close friend of mine too. 2 years after Dad passed away, they got married. I was the ring bearer, and even if I thought my brother was maybe a little bit too young to get married, I supported their relationship. They moved out after a while, and I went back to my mom's. Life happens. I knew it was going to happen someday, although I felt really sad they decided to move out when I was away on a trip and came back to an empty house I couldn't afford alone. But whatever, life goes on. Now, here comes the today I freaked up. The three of us became a bit addicted to League of Legends. We played every night over Discord with other friends, or just like the three of us, and like any other group of gamer idiots, we stole kills of each other. Just harmless fun, I thought. Initially, Lily did not play and was off limits of stealing from since she was learning, but once she began playing and stealing too, I thought she was on and fair to prank too. Months went by with no issue. I thought we were all having fun since no one complained either. Then, out of nowhere, one night we were partying. After I stole one unalive from Lily, she left the game. I asked if everything was okay, and my brother hit me with a, "Listen dude, I gotta tell you now, you are the problem." I was shocked. He said that Lily felt I stole kills from her on purpose, that I had never liked her, and that playing with me has become unbearable. I immediately apologized for making her feel like that it has never been my intention, and that I thought we were all having fun. My brother kinda dismissed me, and we played one more round, but I felt really worried about everything and left after that. I cried that night. I called my boyfriend because I didn't know how to fix it, or how could she even get the idea that I didn't like her. She was one of my closest friends, and I was afraid of being a jerk without noticing. My boyfriend helped me get to a solution. The next day, I texted her and told her, "Hey, we should chat about yesterday. I would like to get things straight so we could understand each other. Do you have time?" Only to be immediately stunned with a, "I don't even want to see you. If I see your face, I'll just tell you to freak off." And then be bombarded with a bunch of stuff she found annoying of me. That I didn't do the dishes when they invited me over, that I always leave the doors open in their apartment, that I'm always asking them for money and eating their food without bringing in more. Which, to be fair, some were true, like the door and dishes thing, to which I apologized for. While the rest felt like an overreaction since I asked if I should bring in something, and my brother always told me not to. And the asking for money was just a joke between my brother and I, in which we said that once the other had a job, they should invite the other over for some burgers or whatever. It was never meant to be serious. I told her so and added, "Why didn't you tell me this bothered you? I would have stopped." And she exploded. Absolute crash out, telling me I'm so hard to talk to, that I'm a piece of jealous crap, and how I'm such a leech and they never said anything because they don't like to fight. By that point, I was mad. How am I supposed to know how they feel about stuff they never even hinted of having a problem with? At some point, my brother joined and of course took her side, being defensive and telling me I'm in the wrong, which I didn't disagree with. I was just mad they didn't even try to tell me, didn't even attempt to have a conversation about, and just came and bombarded me with a ton of the pettiest of crap. They said stuff, I said stuff. Everything went to heck, and we ended saying we needed a break from each other. I felt horrible about it all. I was so mad of being treated like an animal to whom no one could even talk to. That day I told myself I would now cave and go apologizing again, much less for stuff I didn't even know was wrong, stuff I already apologized for. I thought that if my brother loved me as much as I did, he would realize and talk to me at some point. A year passed and I started doubting if I was in the wrong, so I made the post. Talked to my friends, talked to strangers, to my therapist, and everyone told me, "How could you have known? You even apologized immediately," and was hurt for so long before realizing what a piece of crap of a brother I had. It has always been me who had to apologize, always me who had to be the bigger person even if I was the youngest, always me who forgave everything. them moving out with such a short notice, leaving me to figure out what the heck I would do, forgiving him for being unfair with Dad's inheritance and leaving me with useless furniture while he took the refrigerator, laundry machine, and kitchen. I forgave him for all that, but they couldn't even talk to me about whatever was bothering them. Now it's been almost 3 years and we haven't talked to each other since. We only tolerate each other while on family events. Wow, this is a bit of a mess. I think that, you're definitely in the right, OP, to dig your heels in the sand now and not be the person to apologize. Clearly you're being taken for granted, and the way that they just held everything in and blew up on you like that is just not cool. Over a game of League of Legends. Like, what? All Names Taken 69 commented, "There's no such thing as freaking unalive stealing in a MOBA game. You secure kills as a support carry or tank. If you wait around for someone to get the last hit, then kills can turn into not kills, then into team wipes. This is ridiculous. Sounds like the stupid jerk girlfriend used this to isolate your BF. Likely has been going on for a while." Our next story is, "Today, I freaked out by forcing a gas station to shut down." So this is crazy, and personally, I can't believe I'm telling this, but personally I find it funny, embarrassing, and kinda messed up. So I was doing Amazon Flex just for some extra side of cash to help pay off some of my debt. So I had a shift that started at 3:30 a.m. I was already running late, so I did not get to use the bathroom. So I start my shift, I have to deliver 40 packages, not too bad. I start doing my deliveries, and at package 19, I had to go up 3 flights of stairs. Now, I don't know if any of you have experienced what I'm about to say, but you know when you move at the perfect angle for your bowel movements to move? Yeah, by the time I reached the top, it was already trying to come out. So I rushed downstairs and went to a nearby gas station. I rushed in and got in that bathroom, and as I was pulling my pants down, the floodgates opened. This somehow was the worst number 2 I've ever had in my life, and it did not stop for like 3 minutes. Finally, when I finished, I reached behind me trying to flush, but realized these were those automatic toilets. So I stood up, I turned, I could not believe my eyes. The toilet began attempting to flush, only to quickly get stuck and begin to overflow, and before I could even button up my pants, the pipe under the toilet bursted. Water was shooting everywhere. I ran out and said to the employee, "Yo, the bathroom is exploding." He thought I was kidding. He went and opened the door, and all he could see was a huge line of water getting shot up. He quickly closed the door and told everyone to get out, as apparently it was their protocol. I walked out, got back in my car, and left to continue delivering packages. Later, I drove by and saw that they had closed down the entire gas station due to being unsanitary. I could not believe my eyes. Part of me is thankful that Amazon Flex sucks and they sent me 3 hours from my house to deliver packages because I never have to show my face there again. But the other half of me feels so bad for those employees and even worse for the people who had to clean it. You know, I can't say that I've ever been walking up a flight of stairs and had my bowels shift quite to that level before, so I'll take your word for it. Sounds like a good time though. Our next story is, "Today I freaked out by freezing at the hairdresser and ended up with a color I hate." Okay, so while I, 25-year-old female, have not been doing great at the moment, both mental, physical, and socially. Last 2 years, 8 people, including my best friend and partner, passed away. I have CPTSD and have dealt with mentally abusive circumstances for way too long, and I noticed by myself that I regulate myself worse and worse. The smallest things trigger a flight, fright, and fight response in me. It was my birthday a few days ago and spent it in the mental hospital. Awful days. Anyway, I decided to treat myself and go to the hair salon. Man, this truly is a treat. In my country, it's gotten so dang expensive. I had 2 ideas. One had my preference. My hair has been strawberry blonde, gingerish these last few months, but it started fading away, so I wanted to do it again. I really liked how it looked on me. My other option was more close to my natural hair color with some highlights, a bit simpler. When I showed the 2 preferences to my hairdresser, she was visibly annoyed. These were literally 2 completely different things. "Can't do my work if you act like that." I replied that I was looking for their input. I do know what I want, but I also want my hair to be healthy, and I don't know if dyeing it again would be bad for me. I have no clue about these things. I genuinely and naively thought that they would enjoy advising me. She sighed and said we could better do just my own hair color. Not because of the damage, but because I would be back in no time when my own color started showing up again at the roots, and she would have to have this discussion again with me. I said I didn't mind about that and that I was happy to keep my ginger color, and she interrupted me, lashing out about how incredibly indecisive I was. "Let's just do your own color so you don't have to come back." And I just nodded. I froze and agreed. I could say anything. I could have walked away. I just sat there because her tone scared me. It didn't end up being my own color. I'm dark blonde naturally, and I have deep brown hair now leaning towards black. Highlights weren't possible because it would damage my hair too much. Ever going back to ginger wasn't possible for a whole year because it would mess up my color as well. She yanked my piercing out of my ear, per accident of course, when brushing. Edit, it actually ripped a part of my ear. 1.5 years of healing gone. I can't put it in anymore. I couldn't look in the mirror anymore because there was blood in my ear, and I genuinely hate this color so much, and I can't bear the thought of walking around in it for months or even a year. This isn't AIO, but just to be clear, I am overreacting. I know that. This is minor, and it's on me for freezing about something so little just because someone raised their voice at me. It's a little pathetic, but doesn't take away the fact that by not speaking up, I'm stuck looking like Willy Wonka for God knows how long. Changing my appearance is one of the last things I actually control in my life, so yeah, I freaked up. Incredibly minor, but still did. I mean, it sounds like you were borderline abused by this lady in the salon, both verbally berating, but then also accidentally yanking out your piercing. That's terrible. No one should have to deal with that. So sorry to hear it, OP. Maybe just go to a different salon or seek counsel from somewhere else and see if there's anything that you can do to get a color that you feel comfortable and beautiful in. Ginger Algae commented, "It doesn't sound like you're overreacting at all. Just how careless is she to completely yank your piercing out of your ear on top of managing to dye your hair that much darker?" Paranoia Pasta replied, "Yeah, that's freaking crazy. I have 3 helix piercings, and 2 of them have a literal chain connecting them. I constantly forget to take them out when going to the hairdresser, and I think only one hairdresser ever has stayed mindful enough to not hit it at all. However, even when hairdressers who have hit my ear and pulled the chain, they've never done that much damage. It just kinda hurts, is red and a bit swollen for a couple days if it's really bad, and then goes back to normal. It has never bled or ripped anything, and the fact that she was pulling your hair hard enough to rip out a piercing makes me think that she was genuinely being aggressive and taking her own issues out on you. Okay everybody, that's all the time we got for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment down below. And if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. All that said, I will see you next time.